Hi everyone, I'm Ali Grayman. Today I wanted to talk to you about doing ERP for Pure O. How do you do this? For people who don't know, Pure O is pure obsessional OCD. This is the type of OCD that doesn't have compulsions, physical compulsions attached to it. Now, this is kind of a misnomer. It's not. It's not really true because with Pure O, and again, this is 9 years of experience of helping people. With Pure O, there's always some sort of a physical compulsion. I've never really seen a completely clear Pure O. There's either searching the internet, confessing, asking for reassurance from other people. All those are technically physical compulsions. Even spending time analyzing, right? It's still a physical action, but that's kind of splitting hairs. But there's a lot of actual physical actions the person takes. There's avoidances that the person does. So there's a lot of compulsions as well, but not nearly, of course, as many as with actual OCD with like classic OCD, I guess what they would say with physical compulsions. Anyways, to do ERP for Pure O. So ERP stands for Exposure and Response Prevention. As you probably know, if you listen to this channel, this is what we talk about all the time. For Pure O, the thought itself is the exposure. So when you are having the OCD thought of what if, I don't know, what if I killed somebody, or what if I'm doing something against God, or what if I'm a bad person, or what if I want to harm somebody, all those kinds of thoughts, right? That thought is itself the exposure. And that thought already comes with fear. That fear comes on autopilot. You always have to remember that the brain doesn't actually know what it is it's sending you. It just understands that this type of signal, say signal 111, it knows that you react to it a lot. But signal 112, you don't react to it. You don't have that type of OCD. You don't care about those types of things, right? So you don't react to it. So it knows that somehow this is important to you. It doesn't understand why. It doesn't understand that you fear it. It understands that you fear it, but it doesn't understand why you fear it, right? So it looks at it, okay, it's important, it must be dangerous, I'll send you more of this thought, and it does. So to do the response prevention, so that's the exposure. To do the response prevention, you have to stop reacting with fear. So the fear comes in, that's autopilot fear from the brain, that's fine, nothing you can do about it. But what do you do then? So you feel the fear, you kind of see the thought in your mind, and then what? Or sometimes Pure O can also have images come into your mind, that's fine as well, right? So what do you do then? Are you reacting? Are you choosing to take it seriously? Are you going to analyze? Are you going to do these mental and physical compulsions? These, as I call them, the mental gymnastics, trying to figure things out? Or are you going to say, no, I'm going to move on. I'm not going to react to it. I'm just going to leave it and not leave it unsolved, right? Not figuring it out. Why am I not figuring it out? Because I've had this type of OCD before. This is not new. This is just the same but slightly different. So I'm done with it. You know what I mean? So from a position of power, you're saying, I've suffered long enough. I'm done. And I'm moving on. That is the correct way to do response prevention for this thought. Now, when you do this, it doesn't mean that the actual anxiety is going to go down. The anxiety will still be there. But the more you refuse, so you're saying, okay, I'm not buying into it, I'm not doing this, I'm going to move on to something else. You move on to something else. While you're doing something else throughout the day, you're focusing on real life, the thought is still there. The thought is still bothering you. But as you keep doing that, like focusing on other things, it will start to calm down and bother you less. Because you're not feeding your mind with fear. You're not giving it energy. So the residual energy it had from before is starting to kind of run out, and it's starting to fade out. At this point, your brain might send you a similar thought with a similar underlying fear or underlying theme, but maybe slightly different, maybe different details of the same thought, or maybe an entirely new thought, right? That means that the mind is really trying to get your attention and get you to react. This is actually kind of a good thing because it shows that the mind is uncomfortable and it's being forced to move on, which is exactly the effect that you want. You do want it to be uncomfortable and to change, right? To reprogram how it's viewing this thought. This is how you do it. So that's a good sign. If the mind is staying on this thought and it's not going anywhere and you don't feel like the thought is getting weaker, that means you're still feeding it. So you got to kind of examine the situation, not from an obsessive point, but from a point of kind of mindfulness, and say, okay, where am I making the mistake? Am I analyzing? Am I avoiding anything? Am I doing something different? Am I kind of following what OCD is telling me in some way? How am I taking this seriously? How am I feeding this? And then whatever you figure that you're doing, don't do it anymore, or at least limit it, or delay it, but you need to cut these negative, not negative actions, but do you know what I mean? Like these destructive actions that promote more OCD down. If you can't cut them out, then cut them down. Or again, delay them. Because when you delay, basically you're saying, I'm in control, I'm making a choice not to pay attention to this, not to make this important. I will get to it when I get to it. I have other more important things. And then maybe in a few hours, you can re-examine, do you actually need to do this or not, and then make a decision at that point, right? So that helps. So that's another good strategy. But basically, the exposure is the thought itself. The response prevention is how you respond to the automatic fear that comes in with the thought. So if you take that automatic fear that comes in and really drive it up by analyzing, really take it seriously, really take it to the next level, then you're going to feel worse, your OCD will grow. If you refuse, you will feel extremely uncomfortable, but you just have to kind of stay focused on the goal, stay on this track, and it will get better as you go. I hope you find these videos helpful. If you'd like to do the recovery program, all the information is on youhaveocd.com. You can sign up there. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.